This is a meditation for waking up feeling off. So I'm going to take a deep breath and close my eyes. Or if I want, I can sit and relax or do a walking meditation as I do this. Or I can lay down. As I'm sitting here, I'm just going to breathe. Notice my body, where it feels tight or heavy or uncomfortable. I'm just going to stretch and then tighten my muscles and then relax them. Let it all out. There are many reasons for waking up and feeling off. I woke up in the middle of the night feeling off. And so I know what I was thinking. So as I breathe and relax in this space, I think about, okay, I woke up off. What am I thinking about? What things are bothering me? In this particular instance is about making a decision that I knew was right for me. However, I made it later than I would have liked, and it affected my image of myself. I basically committed to doing something and then realized I shouldn't be doing it. And I had to cancel last minute. And so I know that this person is disappointed and I feel their judgment and disapproving energy and anger and frustration because I let them down. I promised something and then I didn't deliver. And so I notice for my image, it isn't how I like to be. It isn't how I normally am. However, when I made the decision, I thought it would be okay, but then the circumstances changed and I didn't check back in to realize these new circumstances, they weren't right. They weren't right for me and they weren't right for who I was helping. However, when you want something, you tend to just go for it. And the more I started thinking about all parties involved, the more I realized, noticed things coming up in my throat, that speaking as things come up for me is not something I normally do. And so even though I knew the decision was right, there was fallback. And I feel bad for that. I feel bad for letting someone down, for promising something I didn't deliver. And so these are the societal things that we get used to on this is what it looks like if you're reliable, safe, responsible. And for the most part, I am. And I missed a little tweak in this particular decision. And the closer it came to me doing this decision, the more I realized it was off for me and for everyone involved in it. And so I canceled. So sitting here thinking about whatever thoughts come up in the morning, feeling off, do I feel bad that I canceled? No, I knew I needed to. It was the best for all involved. Do I feel bad for how somebody takes what I do? Yes, I'm feeling bad for that. And it's like I can feel what they're feeling because I'm already vulnerable. So I can feel their judgment or talking about me or whatever that is. It just feels uncomfortable. And so this person is never going to really understand why I made the decision. They're just going to know their experience in the interaction. And so I see this every day in the world that people have expectations and what they want. And if they don't get what they want, then all of that energy, the frustration, the resentment, the anger, whatever, it gets pushed upon the person or the event. And so I need to just take a big breath and I need to think about myself and others and take a step back on the whole of it all. If we're all working together in this world, which we are all parts moving, interchanging, working together, moving away, going to different aspects. Then I noticed that I did cause a little burp in it, in the timeline, in the energy of it, and I feel bad for that. So that's when I'm thinking too much just of myself or other people. So if I take a step even farther back, if I go up higher, if I look at the whole event and I look at all parties involved, we all came together in this instance. We all did. We chose to, whether it was conscious or unconscious, we chose it. We are all choosing every second, and we forget that. So if I remember we're all choosing, then what I went into the situation with and what they went into the situation with are very likely different. We might have wanted different things in the interaction. And in that, that's okay. So, what I'm thinking now is, and realizing now, is we are in a time period of being able to adapt quickly because things are changing, life is changing, events are changing, people are changing, and things are changing all the time. And so sometimes we feel like we get what we want, and sometimes we feel like we don't. And when we don't, that's when we have to look at the big picture. And if I'm trusting the big picture, I'm trusting that I'm getting out of this incident what I need, and they are too. And it may not be what I want them to get out of it. And that's where the dissonance feels for me. I always want people to be okay, to feel okay, but we don't all the time. We don't feel okay. And sometimes things aren't okay. If somebody makes a decision and they let us down or we get disappointed in them, that's going to happen. And so as I'm lifting and looking down at the situation, I'm understanding there's an acceptance that I need to have. And it's about letting people have their process. It's not mine to fix. And I've tried to fix it so many times, but it's not mine to fix. So here I am sitting, and I know that I did the best I could, even though I misstepped in parts. I look back and I wouldn't have really done that way, but I did. And so, with compassion and grace, I'm going to go back into my intentions of the good that I want for me and the good that I want for others. And I'm also going into my intention that I need to be sovereign in my own self, in my own space, in my own connection, in my own confidence. I have to make the decisions. I am creating my life and I'm doing the best that I can. And all I can do is I can apologize to another person. And sometimes they don't accept our apologies. And sometimes it causes a rift in the relationship. So I know that is what has happened here. I know that there's a rift. And I know that now I'm going a different direction and they're going a different direction. And they're not going to meet. And how do I be okay with that? Knowing that I made the decision for that. So I'm going to take another deep breath. and understand I'm in the process of making decisions that are right for me. And other people are used to having me a certain way, and I may not be able to fulfill that anymore. If it doesn't feel right for me, continuing to do something that isn't will just wear me down. It's easier to take care of others because you get the benefit of them appreciating you or valuing you, whatever it is that gives you the charge of helping others. But helping yourself, when you've created a lot of patterns where you haven't, other people are not used to this and they don't know this side of you. And it's challenging to sustain. And so, in this moment, in this space, I'm having to come back into yes, I didn't catch it in time. And yes, this is my image now in this interaction. And I go to my intentions, and I do know it was the best for me. And since this other party was involved, it's the best for them too. And so sometimes it's about what we say, how we say it, but it's also about how we hold the energy of it. And I'm not there yet. I'm in process of being able to speak something that works for me or something for me, knowing that other people are used to having more of me. And so I take another breath and I let them go with love and compassion and understanding. And I hold on to myself with love, compassion, and understanding as well. We're not perfect. I'm not perfect. They're not perfect. So I'm letting the interaction go, knowing that I made the best decision I could. And also, when people are meant to be in our lives, they can understand and have compassion if I make a mistake. I grew up thinking you can't make a mistake. You have to be perfect. You have to be there for everyone. And it's easy to get into that mode and it's comfortable and you look good and people appreciate you. And then you realize, wow, I'm really tired or I'm not having value in this interaction. Or if I do this interaction, these are going to be the repercussions and the repercussions are greater than doing it. They're going to cause harm. And so then that's why I made the decision I did. I made the decision for myself and for the future. And that's according to what I thought was best. But what I notice is what they think is best is different than what I think is best. And I think that is what is fighting in the energy field right now. So I'm going to take another breath as thoughts come into my head. Am I okay being human and making mistakes? I'm not. So how do I get there? I'm going to take another breath in and I'm going to lift my consciousness. I'm going to picture myself rising higher and higher into the air and looking down on the situation. And from there, I can see that I'm learning how to have a voice for myself. And because I didn't have a voice earlier, that's why it's affecting me now, because I'm in so many patterns of pleasing others. Or, well, if I can do it, I might as well do it. And I'm not tracking how that affects my emotions, my energy, my path. So if I'm looking at myself, I'm learning to speak what is true for me. And that's different than speaking what is right. And that's the conflict. The conflict is people thinking they're right rather than my perception of my truth is this. I'm in a different place, a different space, and so my perceptions of how I read my truth and how I feel, only I can do that. Nobody else can do that for me. Nobody else can understand either. And so I'm going to give that to myself. I'm going to honor and hold that sacred, that I spoke my truth as best I could. And I'm going to keep doing that. And I do know it's going to get easier. And I also know people are going to leave my life, and I'm going to choose to have people leave my life because of it. And as I'm talking, I'm realizing that my true intention is finding resonance with another person. Finding resonance doesn't mean me just resonating with them. I've become very good at that. I always know how to resonate with and for somebody else. Do they know how to resonate to me? And I've never required that, ever. And so now I'm looking at the interaction and my truth, what was right for me, was to cancel. That can't change. I look back and it doesn't change. That's my perception of my truth. And another's perception and truth can be different. And when we understand that, when we blend those together and resonate together, I realize that's really what I'm looking for right now in my life. Not just me resonating to another person. I want them to resonate with me. I want them to understand me. I want them to forgive me. I want them to see my flaws and look beyond it. And if they're not able to, which is okay, then to release the whole situation on both parts. And so that's what I know my lesson is, or my understanding, my learning, my challenge doesn't really matter. It's my next step to help me. So this whole event is for me. Am I going to receive this situation and all that entails to benefit and appreciate my movement forward and safety for me and truth for me? Sometimes it can feel kind of lonely because there's a fear that I'll lose everyone in my life. But there are so many people in this world. There's so many that others will show up for me when I need it. And so I realize this meditation is about accepting what is with gratitude, understanding, and knowing it's going to move me forward. And it can move the other person forward as well, or they may stay angry. And in this world, I'm noticing anger is being used to control and keep us in a lower consciousness. It's so easy to get angry. There's so many things that seem off and that aren't balanced. And so many people are seeing it. There's so many disagreements. If we look at it and we realize we're all on different paths and different timelines, and it's okay to not be on someone's or to have someone leave your timeline. It's okay. The balance of our authentic vibration is the only thing that we're going to feel okay about. We aren't going to be able to sustain overgiving, obligation, expectations. We're not going to be able to sustain being dependent on someone else, needing someone else to make us feel better. We're finding our own balance within ourselves, our own consciousness, our own beliefs. And they are outside of what we've learned from society. So I'm going to let that go as well. And I'm going to appreciate that I woke up off this morning. And I'm going to be grateful that I care about this person. I care about this person. And that's as far as I'm going to go. I'm not going to go into their dissatisfaction with me because that's their right, their truth, their perception, their experience that they get to have. So I'm going to honor that. And I'm going to honor me. And I notice I'm feeling more balanced now. I feel better. I feel more me. I don't feel the trigger. I know that I'm not far past it. I know I can fall back into it if I start to swirl there. So I'm not going to do that. I'm going to hold, I care about this person. And I'm thankful they interacted with me in this matter. And I learned not to overgive or not to go into a space that's not mine to go into. Or I'm just choosing not to go into a space because I'm choosing not to have the consequences that will come from it. And that's okay. I wouldn't walk into a storm on purpose without having any type of protection. So when I make decisions and I hold them, I try to find instances that correlate so that I can hold on to those vibrations. And so the vibration I'm going to hold on to is safety for myself, for my energy, for my emotions, for my future. And I wish myself well.